In this video, we'll show you how to terminate field-installable connectors by Total Cable Solutions. Sold in packs of 10, Total Cable Solutions offers 4 types of field-installable connectors. Each includes a jig to aid in termination. First we have LC-UPC with blue housings, LC-APC with green housings, SC-APC with green housings, and finally, SC-UPC with blue housings. The first thing you'll need is the instruction manual for field-installable connectors available at TotalCableSolutions.com. There are 2 versions of the manual available to download, one for LC connectors and one for SC connectors. The front side of the manual contains instructions for terminating onto a standard 2 or 3 mm patch cord, and the reverse contains instructions for terminating onto a drop cable or 900 micron breakout. The manual also details what tools you will need for termination. You will need a portable cleaver, a pair of Kevlar cutters for getting through the cable jacket, a wire stripper tool, also known as Miller pliers, the jig which is included in the package, and of course, your connector. For this video, we'll be demonstrating how to terminate an SC-UPC connector onto a 2 mm jacketed patch cable. Again, this is a 2 mm fiber patch cable with a single fiber. To begin termination, first make a fresh cut on the end of the cable. Next, open the bag with the field-installable connector from Total Cable Solutions. Set the connector and housing aside for now and grab the 2 boots. Slide the big boot on first, with the threaded end facing out. Follow that with the smaller boot, keeping the tapered end also facing out. Slide both boots down the cable so they're ready for later. The next step is to strip away the outer jacket of the cable. The instruction manual says to strip away 50 mm, which in the US equates to about 2 inches. With the Miller pliers, carefully strip the 2-inch section of jacket from the patch cable. This leaves some Kevlar strands and the inner 900 micron around the fiber. Now insert the 900 micron segment into the provided jig. Align the notch in the jig with the end of the 2 mm jacket, leaving part of the 900 micron section hanging over the jig. At this point, we recommend marking the point where you will strip off the outer 900 micron. Next, very carefully remove the cable from the jig, and once again pick up the Miller pliers. Set to the 900 micron notch. Take care to hold the cable as straight as possible, and strip away the 900 micron jacket. Now, using the 3rd notch on the wire stripper, marked 125, very carefully slide off the final jacket layer. This exposes the fiber, so take extra care so you don't break the glass. Now that the fiber is exposed, take a dry wipe and clean the fiber. Now reinsert the cable into the jig and make sure not to touch the fiber optic glass now that it's exposed. Again, align the 2 mm jacket cutoff with the mark on the jig using the notch to hold it in place. Now, grab the cleaver and slide the jig into the notched area. Clamp down. Push the cleave button. Lift up, and the fiber end face has been cut. Now the exposed fiber is the exact length it needs to be to go into the field-installable connector. At this point, get the field-installable connector ready. It should already be in the open position. Now slide the exposed fiber very carefully into the connector until you feel it gently contact the end of the connector, so you know it's all the way in. Once the fiber is completely in, apply pressure to seat the 2 mm cable into place. Now move the plastic latch inside the connector into the locked position. Make sure to apply enough pressure to move the latch. You will feel it move into that locked position. Now trim back the Kevlar strands to about 1 centimeter. We recommend leaving just that little bit as it helps with boot restraint. Next, slide up the boots from earlier and screw them into place like so. Notice the small boot remains at the end to protect the bend radius of the cable. Last, make sure the key or notch is pointing up on the blue housing. Make sure the key is on the same side as the latch on the inside of the connector. Now, slide the housing onto the connector, leaving the dust cap on to protect the fiber. You may need to apply extra force to snug the housing into place. It should sit right up against the black boot. There is some play in the housing. This is by design as part of the SC spec. Once you've completed your termination of the field installable connector, you'll want to test your fiber link end to end as a final step before deploying. This can be done using a fluke or basic light meter. On average, field installable connectors by Total Cable Solutions yield 0.25 dB of light loss or less. In the case of the patch cord we just made, you can see it tests out at 0.15 dB, so we're good to go. And that's how you terminate a field installable connector by Total Cable Solutions.